everyone. Please be seated as we now are all set for the next session. Our next conversation turns the spotlight on India's most globalized sector, and a lot of you might have already guessed it. It's the IT and digital services sector, from AI and cloud to H1B policy. This is an industry that sits right at the intersection of technology, talent, and geopolitics. India's IT BPM sector now generates over 7% of the GDP, employs more than 5 million people, and has crossed USD 5 billion in terms of revenue. But it is also now, interestingly, confronting margin pressure, automation, and a more restrictive global visa, as well as a regulatory environment.
Now, leading this next conversation is a veteran who has seen this industry through every major transition, from Y2K and offshoring to 5G, AI, and now foundational models. Please welcome on stage with a huge round of applause, Mr. C.P. Gurnani, co-founder, vice chairman of IONOS, and former CEO and MD of Tech Mahindra. He'll be in conversation with the senior executive editor of ET Now, Sajid Mangat, as they will be discussing AI, cybersecurity, and H1B and the challenges of the IT industry. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, CP, for joining us today at India Economic Conclave. You've been a veteran of this industry, so let me start off by asking you a very basic question. The entire narrative of AI, is India late to this narrative?
I mean, in Hindi he has asked a question, are we late to the party? तो पार्टी तो अभी शुरू हुई है.
नहीं, दिल्ली में तो 12 बजे के बाद शुरू होती है actually, but
So, you know, it's always a way you look at things, glass half empty or glass half full. The reality is, if you look at the US current, weightage of the technology, or particularly AI-related companies on their index, I mean, it is obviously very, very high. And clearly they took a stand, and you have had all the CEOs come in the last few weeks out here. You had Intel CEO, you had the Microsoft CEO. This morning I met, the CEO of Zscaler, Jay Chaudhary. I mean, ultimately all of them are coming, and some of them have even called on the Prime Minister of India, basically to reaffirm that India advantage is talent. India advantage is being the data capital, or in a way I would put it, data diverse capital. And number 3 is the growth of the internet users, or the growth of the smartphones. I think if you capitalize on all of this, I think the party is only started now. We may have missed the infrastructure bus, but we have never been in the infrastructure or the foundational infrastructure. I mean, we didn't do Microsoft OS, and that time nobody told us that you are not an SAP, you are not a Microsoft, you are not an Oracle, and how did you create a $500 billion industry?
If that is the case, from an IT services point of view, and you have spent most of your life in that segment, how is the IT services companies coping up with this new narrative? Do you see them scaling up? They have the potential to do this. So, and is there an opportunity, big opportunity for India's IT services to re-engineer themselves?
Different companies, and again, go back into all the public announcements. TCS has made enough public announcement about their own foundries, factories, and tools that they have developed. As recent as yesterday, I mean, Fractal is now a $3 billion market cap company, and Fractal is focused on data and AI. I mean, I'm not going through every company, but all I'm trying to tell you is that it is very certain that AI is equal to data, data is equal to exponential thinking, and most of the Indian IT industry recognizes this. You have seen my ex-company, Tech Mahindra.
We are traditionally IT services economy there, and this re-engineering which is happening with respect to AI. When do you see AI to be a significant part of many of the IT companies? And I say I'm asking this because if you look at the investors, they are not so confident on the way Indian IT companies are doing on AI. The IT index itself has been underperforming the benchmark by nearly 21% this year because the narrative of AI has been taken away by American companies. Some of the Chinese companies have taken away that, and Indian IT is seen as an anti-AI trade.
I think the investors are not being practical. I need to remind all these investors is that mainframe was dead a long time ago. That the guy who, landed on the moon, and the software that was used at that time by the NASA was, something which I think you can now put it on a musical greeting card. And you still have the same technology of musical greeting card or the same technology that is the mainframes of yesterday still being used. So guys, please do not assume that people change that fast, and that includes the corporates, that includes the biggest banks in the world, biggest insurance company, biggest healthcare companies in the world. So that is number one. There will be there is a change, but it is not as fast as some of us are predicting from a practical point of view. Second is that even in India, we are the one who have done some of the best work on digital infrastructure, whether it's a UPI, RuPay, or Digi Yatra. But go to the airport. Is there a queue at Digi Yatra? Never. Reason is some of us take a little longer to adopt, but that's human way of working. So my recommendation for the investors is that Indian IT industry will weather and in a way embrace the storm. I think they are excited about it. That ultimately AI is probably being seen as a magic bullet, but it takes a little longer. Think about all the things that you hear, and each one of you reads in the newspapers at the same time. Is AI inclusive? Is AI ethical? Is AI protecting your copyrights? Is AI, and will you allow in a corporate for somebody to start using AI without being sure that there is enough policing and controls? So if you cannot allow it to be used immediately, where will you use it? You will use it in a call center. To integrate it backwards, and like for example at IONOS, we today have solutions which are about 35%. Why? Because each one of my agents has also got a agentic AI pilot with him. If with that person, him or her, if I'm able to increase the productivity, I'm challenging anybody in this room, have they replaced their personal assistants with the agentic AI? If they have not replaced it, that only means is the adoption takes its own due course, and once you replace it, you would still actually find more time to be more creative and do more things. So I think Indian IT is here to stay. Indian IT services sector is here to stay, and I am confident that it opens up more opportunities, and hence for investors they need to take a relook.
CP, you have seen multiple phases of Indian IT, from the Y2K days to transformations deals which have come in, to cloud computing, now machine learning. How do you see the structure of Indian IT companies changing from here on?
So let's take a few examples. Till yesterday, let's take an example of healthcare. Now, we had one of the biggest crises in the world called the COVID. There were well-funded companies in US, in Europe. We responded by creating two solutions. We had one solution where we became the world's biggest factory. Adar Poonawala created the best manufacturing facilities in the world. We had, Bharat Biotech create its own vaccine and own solution. Now both the models worked. The models worked is that there will be one guy who will create a product, there is another guy who will create capacity. So my assumption is Indian IT industry will follow similar trends. Some will repurpose themselves to become product platforms and maybe realize that our real power is in application use cases. That somebody will say every content on YouTube cannot be verified only by AI. AI also needs a supervisor. Somebody will say that there are new applications being born. It's the same way. All of you have now started using AI for your travel planning. But do you still need a human to tell you, whether it is through TripAdvisor or through whatever, that whether it is working or not? So the world needs humanizing, the world needs tools, and all of us who embrace human touch and AI tools, I think we are in a great shape.
So you see the transformation of Indian IT companies into maybe product services companies, in that sense, bringing in platforms which can be used across services or maybe industries, in that sense?
As I said, two different models. I personally believe hybrid will happen.
Okay.
One is the product side and one is the the services side. So let's take an example, which we are doing at IONOS.
Yeah.
I go and tell a consumer, and we do this workshop called Run, Change and Grow. Obviously, Run is focused more on cost transformation. Change part is, if you adopt technology, what is it that will be more efficient for you and how does it pay back? Grow is, can I help you grow your business? Right? Now, clearly, one way of doing it is that I do it as a service. Run is cost transformation. People call it as managed services. People call it as managed transformation or whatever. And in the grow part of it, we are using, let's assume I come to you and say that I am going to use your data, but I think the Times Group can now, monetize it a little better. I mean, if people can probably look at A or B or C. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's e-commerce. It's the same thing that an Amul that we all admire started by being a cooperative dairy and selling milk. Today they sell burrata and the cheese. They sell mithai. They sell sugar-free, ice creams. Because they realize the milk is 80 rupees a kg or 100 rupees a kg, but yogurt is at 400 rupees a kg and a cheese is 600 rupees a kg. So my belief is that this will be a hybrid model. We will continue to sell the milk, which is the services, but we will move up the value chain and we will sell cheese or sugar-free mithai.
Now, you spoke about cost management here. one of the biggest arguments made about is the efficiency gains from AI. As someone who has been, into this business and you've been providing products to companies, what is the kind of actual efficiency gains through AI?
It depends on process to process. So let's first accept a fact. The fact today is that in industry, we had more than 50 to 60% of work which was more of process compliance. It was like quality testing. You had to put in a process tool, and then on that tool you put mechanical or manual or a human to make it through this. Now that particular process, I think the gain is 80%. Because I can automate that process to the tune of 80%, and 20% I only need to validate and revalidate. Now similarly, if I were to take a blind guess on when the BPO industry matures and starts adopting, today my service offering, it says because of my usage of Intellimate, we call it an Intellimate, the agentic AI platform, that Intellimate usage on the call center, whether it is answering emails or whether it is answering queries or whether it is rebooking, whatever. I mean, you can think of any complex environment, I can guarantee 30% saving. So that means I'm using 30%, minimum 30% less manpower. I mean, agentic AI is not free.
Yeah.
I mean, it has also got a cost because I have to pay the infrastructure guys, for whatever time that I'm using. But let us say the minimum wages in US is $20. Even if I put all infrastructure costs, it cannot cost more than $2. So there is a cost saving and there is an efficiency saving. So yes, over a period of time, I think in the technology side also, both on engineering, development and deployment, I think the BPO industry will get to about 50% efficiency gain, and IT technology industry would be 30%.
No, we had a speaker previously who spoke about the fact that AI could be a challenge to labor workforce in India. What is your thought on that?
It's the same way, I'm sure, different parts of the industry have written different obituaries. Robo started cleaning your house. I mean, you thought Kantabai will go away. When you had a washing machine, you assumed that Ramu would not be required. The last 10 years, at least 7 years, we've been talking about driverless cars. And people have gone on to write 7 years ago that a new car would be configured. I mean, think about it. Tesla has been driving for 11 years, so it's not that it has come in today. Now, people wrote the obituary of the piston engine. So, all I'm trying to say is that we tend to, create a panic when it does not exist. Number two is, it is not that the jobs will go away, it is that the jobs will get reconditioned. They got recreated. You guys in the media industry should know better. I mean, in media industry, you have seen the change. I mean, this cordless mic is the change. I mean, it's not that your sound system engineers have gone away.
True.
So, all I'm trying to remind all of us here is that we have no choice but to adopt the tools. We have no choice but to be ahead of the curve. But it doesn't mean that we are not needed. That's the only thing I can re-emphasize is self-learning or skilling or upskilling or being able to understand that because you are now attacking the processes itself, it's not enough to be left-brained. It is better that you are right-brained and left-brained both.
One of the big issues or concerns which comes into being is the assessment of IT companies. You've been a CEO and an MD, and every quarter after quarter, you had been presenting metrics to analysts and investors. How do you think those metrics are now going to change with respect to AI? What should be the way to look at companies, whether they are AI configured or compliant, or they are AI ready?
I mean, interesting question. I didn't think about it, but I think, our analysts tend to have very stereotyped questions. The stereotyped questions have been about
How many people you hired? And all?
how many engineers, how many BPO, how many large deals have you signed? And I have never ever seen a question, what is your R&D question? So if we just take a pause for a minute, how is a CEO evaluated? A CEO is evaluated, number one is on his thought leadership, right? Number two, the CEO is evaluated on the way he or she harness the power of all the stakeholders, which includes employees, which includes the board, which includes the environment that you live in. So for want of better words, let's assume it is the people power. So number one, we said thought leadership. Number two, we said people power. People here is all the stakeholders.
Yeah.
And number third is on the value creation. I think the focus is extraordinary on the value creation and the short-term measures. Nobody questions is that will a TCS or Infosys or a Tech Mahindra or a Wipro pivot itself to work with 30% less people and still be able to grow the business?
That's the question now people are asking as well.
But that's a question that you analysts don't ask. You are asking from media. But I am sure in their boardrooms, at least in Tech Mahindra boardroom, we started pivoting towards it by putting in enough R&D expenditures. We call it the Maker's Lab. We did it with academia. We did it. And today at Ionos, my biggest expenditure is my foundry. My biggest expenditure is when we are experimenting with various tools and coming up with the solutions. So my belief is that the day we start questioning on thought leadership and how we are changing, I think we are getting the right matrix up in the market.
So the traditional matrix is like how many employees you added during a quarter, or for that matter the EBITDA margin, or the how many total contract value you gained during a quarter does not mean anything now?
I did not say no. All I said is that value creation matrix have to get only 1/3 of the weightage. Today they get 90% weightage. When an analyst asks you a question, I am never saying that was a wrong question.
Why is that?
Question is right.
Why is that actually? If the narrative needs to change.
Listen, it's the same way. If I am looking at, you might say that if I'm just taking any transformation program, you might say that the growth rate of India at 8% is the only question that matters. Whereas if I go and ask people on the street, they will want to know health for all, clean water for all. They would want to know education for all. How do I reduce the gap between education imbalance, and so on and so forth, right?
Yes.
Now, all I'm asking is that when it comes to your country, you are willing to ask Prime Minister Modi these questions. Now, why can't an analyst who's an educated guy ask relevant questions to the CEO so that he's able to get a better CT scan of the company?
Do you think going forward, we're going to see the analysts, of course the media as well, asking these kind of questions where what is the kind of revenue per employee that you're generating? What is the kind of R&D expenditure that you're doing? And what is the kind of return on investment for that R&D investment?
I think, they're all good points. I'm not denying it. All I'm saying is the three pivots again. align you. Like for example, at Ionos, I am saying that I will create products and platforms. I will monetize the data. Number 3 is that I will provide cybersecurity because the amount of data that we are creating, AI is equal to data and data is equal to cybersecurity. The other way of doing it is cybersecurity and AI are inseparable. And I am focusing on both. Now that's my bold statement. If you want to analyze what am I doing for it, then I would have a matrix which will determine what is my product roadmap and am I meeting that product roadmap. Then the third part of it is, if I'm meeting that product roadmap, if I were to go out in the external market, what is the valuation I will generate? So that is the way that you will value me. It's the same way. I'm sure you want to evaluate companies on what they are, what they want to achieve. The challenge is that at this stage, you're ignoring, everybody is being, pushed under the carpet called an AI. Whereas the real reason for relative slowdown, and it's a minor slowdown, it's not that, you guys are not happy with 6%, 7% growth. Think about it.
ये दिल मांगे मोर ना सर दिल मांगे मोर
मांगो यार ले लो. But anyway, coming back, आप लोग अगर if you analyze it differently, we all, thank you for navigating geoeconomics. Now geoeconomics, whether it is China, America, whether it is China, Taiwan, whether it is China, Japan, what is the narrative today? The narrative is all rules of global trades have been forgotten. That is the narrative. And the narrative is, people said, it's a, ambiguity in the market. There is no certainty by any standards. And number 3rd is that, God knows, who writes all those tweets or whatever they are, his forum is called. How can somebody have 140, 150 tweets in 4 hours? And then you have to interpret the policy of the largest economy of the world because of those tweets or from those tweets. Now you think a larger company which is taking, whether the company is called a JP Morgan in US or a SBI, do you think they can take a long-term view on financing export trade?
based on the tweets?
No. So that is the reality of the geoeconomics. Na? If that geoeconomics is so unstable, some of the decisions are being shelved. It doesn't mean that the requirement is going away. It only says is that, guys, there is a pause button on your screen, and if you are looking at that pause button, it is nothing wrong with it. While what is imperative to keep the lights on, that work is happening. What is imperative to improve customer experience, that work is happening. So it is not that a SBI or a JP Morgan will ever stop in improving their customer experience. So my only request again is to media, analysts, and the overall stakeholders is that, guys, basic equation. The world is going towards more technology. There is no conversation that happens where you do not discuss technology. And who will provide that technology? We are the people who will provide that technology. Most of you have heard this from Satya Nadella. When he did his roadshow last week, you heard him. Obviously, the paradigm shifts are happening. He also made a point. He did not say he's going to sell more of Microsoft OS. He also said more products, more platforms, more, bringing the population of 8 billion people on to usage of AI.
You spoke about AI equal to data, data equal to cybersecurity, and you're working on that as well. Is there a big opportunity available for Indian companies in cybersecurity?
So first let's look at it. That in a current environment, one day NVIDIA chips are available to you and one day they are not available. One day, if you do a scenario planning of Atmanirbhar Bharat, everybody talks about rare earth. How many of us have taken into account that one day there was a George Fernandez who banned Coke, who banned IBM, who banned everybody? Now, that day we did it to multinationals.
Yes.
Tomorrow it happens to us and we are not allowed to import technology. Where do we stand? Can we manufacture one TV? Can you manufacture one phone? Can we manufacture a washing machine or anything which has got electronics word written in it?
Or a chip in it.
Right. No, the electronics is equal to chip also. Na? I mean, a typical car will have about 150 chips. So, it is not that, a car will run on without the chips. So, my point is that it is, now, this was the hardware part of it. What about the software part of it? I mean, can you think of amount of software that we end up importing? And whether it is, if we are going to become a Atmanirbhar Bharat, we will have to take into account that there is a strain in the geo-economic systems, and the more we are prepared. So when you asked a question about cybersecurity, my point is we have addressed it beautifully. We have said all data centers to be now based in India because we are trying to control the source, which is data.
Localization, basically.
No, it's not localization. It is the localization of the data storage.
Storage.
Right. So my point for your consideration is, that's only one part. Do I provide a network security from my product? Do I provide a cloud security from my product? Do I provide an AI security from my product? I mean, think of all the big names. It's a Cisco, Palo Alto, Microsoft, Cloudflare, Zscaler, you name it. So the point again and again I'm trying to re-emphasize is, if we have to become self-reliant, the way we have to build our capabilities is, we have to have an option B for everything. And particularly for cybersecurity, it is better to have a level of control, because that's it's not only for protection. It's not only for resilience. Tomorrow it's impossible. I mean, there are companies in Russia, China, and God knows where, which have made a business out of asking for ransomware. You would be surprised. In UK, they are planning to table a law where they say that no country will ever pay any ransomware. That means UK is recognizing that the companies are blackmailed and they have to pay ransomware if they want to get their own data back.
There was a time when many countries said, we will not negotiate with terrorists. It's something like saying that we will not negotiate with for any ransomware, right? It's similar to that.
It's impractical. Look at it. Let us say you are an insurance company. Now your data about Sajit, age this much, this ailment, this medical record, this much of insurance, and the beneficiary is your wife or whoever. Now, do you want that data to be in public domain? Now, it's easy to say, I will not negotiate, but when it becomes millions and millions of people and their data, the only way to do is make your backbone a lot more stronger. So if you were asking about cyber security, I think there's a lot more work to be done by India Incorporated. The model will be hybrid. I will learn from Cisco. I will learn from Huawei. I'm not saying that I'm not going to learn, but I need to become Atmanirbhar. And number two, yes, it's an opportunity, because if the data is increasing at the rate of about 70% year on year, that means you need the rail guards also.
You know, we're talking about setting up of 10 gigawatt of data centers over in the next 5 years or so. That's the kind of enormous, capacity that we are building up. Do you see enough Indian companies working on cybersecurity as this is an opportunity for them as well?
I can only say thank you for asking me. I mean, IONOS is working on it. So my first, and I'm launching it on 9th of January, is on resilience. That means we will keep your data in such a way that you can recover it in 15 minutes, so that at least you are not being blackmailed. So I'm launching it on 9th of January in Mumbai. Number two, I think on the prevention side, I was trying to get Mr. Jay Chaudhary to come here. Most of you would know that he's the founder of Zscaler. And we are working on, creating a cloud-based, AI-based service offering. Obviously, the brain, or what they call as their zero trust platform, is coming from them. But yes, companies are working and companies are going to capitalize. And my young company of 21 months is already ahead of the race.
Another big question which comes in is that are companies investing incremental, expenses into cybersecurity, or is it part of the overall IT spend that they're doing?
Interesting question, but I must give you a data. If I look at medium to large enterprises around the world, the number would be 200 million plus. If I look at what is called the CSOs, the Chief Cybersecurity Officers, I think the last count was about 50,000. So 200 million businesses, it could be, I'm talking medium to large or small to large, we have only 50,000. So that means only 50,000 people will be running a budget for cybersecurity. Rest of them would be run by the CFO or the CIO or the CTO or maybe the business owner. I'm not saying they don't spend money, but that budget could be in somewhere else. So, I think there is a general consensus, and maybe you want to take a vote or maybe you want to ask that question to the people here, Sajid, but and that's why you have heard people protecting their phone. That's why you have heard people recognizing that every IoT device is a threat. That's why you have heard the military recognizing that while there will be hundreds of drones, but those drones can be a gateway to their cybersecurity. So I think there is a consciousness. How many of them are setting aside money? How many of them are setting aside, a budget for it? Or more important is creating specific cells. I think the answer is a lot more to be done.
A lot of IT deals that happen, which are transformation in nature, now have AI embedded as part of it. It means you have to give it to them, otherwise the client doesn't take it. Do you see cybersecurity also as part of those deals now going forward, where one portion of that big transformation deal will be with respect to how cybersecurity packages or partners are integrated into the deals?
At least for the software that we have been developing for the last 10, 11 years, it's a requirement. How safe and secure. On one side, you're looking at, 100% production ready software, but the production ready software also means, is it cyber secure? So tokenization, encryption, they have become part of the software that you develop, and particularly which interfaces with the external world.
Which basically means that the Indian companies will have to collaborate not only with global companies with respect to cybersecurity, or maybe Indian companies like yours who are making products for cybersecurity as part of the integrated play.
Again, I don't want to answer for everybody, but I can tell you that cybersecurity inside, AI inside is more prominent than what Intel inside used to be when I was growing up in a PC.
The next topic which I just wanted to get your thoughts on is the H-1B visa. It's a very contentious topic. Trump has been after these visas. The regulatory mechanisms have been tightened. Costs for visas have gone up. How do you see Indian companies faring in this environment?
So enough has been said about this. So I don't want to, tell you what you all have already learned. What have you learned up till now? Number of H-1B visas applied by Indian companies have anyway been on reduction year after year. Indian companies who are applying more are the American companies who have GCCs here. This is statistics, it is data. Number two is Indian companies have recognized this as a threat, and you have seen almost all large companies have set up either local centers in US or nearshore centers. That means I'm not breaking a sweat. Number third, even during COVID, when nobody traveled, there was no need to go for a visa. The businesses were executed. That means working from home, whether it is a call center or whether it is a software development, thanks to that period, unfortunate period in COVID, attained a level of maturity that we are no longer dependent on H-1B visas. Without travel, we were able to execute our projects. So I think between you and me, I think it is till you guys, that is the US Commerce Secretary and India sign that trade agreement. This is, I think posturing. Now, I can read in the same newspaper and I know somebody will say, this leader is objecting, Elon Musk, or whether it is Tim Cook, that this is a wrong law. Somebody can object that, it benefits India, or somebody will say that they've gone to the judiciary. The President Trump did not have the powers. The good news is that it's good for the noise. It is not impacting the business, and the business knows how to manage it.
And your big clients are anyways coming to India for setting up the GCCs.
It doesn't matter. As I said, I've taken in account everything. And I told you, unfortunate time of COVID, but look at the best part, the best outcome of it. So I think we reach that level where, there will be one project out of 10 million projects having a temporary setback because somebody is not able to travel or somebody, and it will impact individuals. So don't get me wrong. An individual who has to wait in front of the US Embassy and being denied an interview and his family is stranded or his children's education is suffering, there is a consequence. But that consequence is limited to the individual discomforts. And but in general, I think Indian IT industry is matured and it is not impacting them.
CP, it's been a pleasure talking to you today and being so candid on various issues with respect to the Indian IT. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sajid. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gurnani, for that, and thank you, Sajid, for that insightful conversation and a very important analysis on the IT sector in India right now.
And on that note, we break for lunch, but the conversations are far from over. Join us after lunch for captivating discussions on emerging trends in the automotive industry, the role of gold in volatile times, the consumption